Welcome everybody. It's tight tonight. I apologize for standing room only, but that just says something about how our organization is doing, and we're very proud that we're doing that. Thank you, everybody. Exactly. We're very happy to have Sony with us tonight. They'll get a chance to talk about their new cameras, and they brought this amazing, very compact projector here tonight. That is taking care of everything just with a little button. It's really nice. Just a couple quick pieces of business. I just want to preview what's coming up, all right? So we went through the camera shootout. We had a great meeting with talent and kids and animals at the last meeting. Tonight we're hanging out your shingle. You're going to learn everything about what it takes to get your DBA, save money on your production purchases, and move forward with a successful year. And along those lines, I just want you to look ahead. So Saturday, April 30th, the Media Pro Camp it's not at UCSD Extension, I apologize. It's going to be back at the Art Institute. If anybody's done it in the past, the Art Institute, great location. We have multiple rooms. We break out and we learn from one another. Now this year we're going to put together basically a complete mobile production studio. A couple of the guys are bringing all their gear, and we are going to set up and we are going to play. We're going to do interview lighting, we're going to do run and gun stuff, and we're going to have the toys to play with. We're going to edit. We'll have everything from the beginning of the process to the end of the process. So if you want to get your elbows knee deep in what it takes to get the job done, it's a day-long event. And what's very unique about this is that you get to help put the subjects together. You help to put the agenda together. We all meet, we say, what do we want to learn about? And everybody learns from one another. Thanks, Bob, for talking about it. And so then right after that, well, April, May, right? April, May, pre-production, production workflow. And so that's the next meeting, okay? So following month, pre-production and production workflow. Okay, so. Those are Wednesday, okay? So the 30th is a Saturday because it's Media Pro Camp, and that's a day-long event. All the other meetings should be, well, the very next. What's the number? I don't need the day of the week, the day of the month. I can't read the month. May 25th. Thank you. So that one's a Wednesday. That's like this kind of a meeting. That's just a typical meeting. Pre-production and production workflow. What's it take to work with your customer, get them through the process, get the script written, get your locations under control, what you're going to do, your equipment all arranged, what you're going to need to make that all happen. Then NAB wrap-up, which is actually a Saturday, May 27th, is actually going to be back here again. And I'll introduce Bill Lanzarotti. He's the new owner of Voice and Video here in a moment. And he's going to have vendors here. Food trucks, it's going to be a day-long event. And our goal here, we're still putting together, we've got 2 months to figure this out, but the vendors that are going to be here will come in here or the showroom and have a moment to have, so we're going to build a schedule so you can come anytime during the day and just talk to the vendors and do your thing, look at the equipment, et cetera. And then we will publish a schedule, so if there's something specific you want to come in, then those vendors will come in here and have a more quiet one-on-one talk to whoever is here. I'm sure it'll be a small group, but if we show up, maybe it won't be a small group. There we go.
It's a Friday.
Is May 27th a Friday?
I think it's a Saturday.
I think we moved it to a Saturday.
Must be the 28th then.
Okay. What is it, Bill? It's your gig.
We're doing it on a Saturday because we did it Friday last year and we had over 200 people. We want people to be able to come not afterwards, but to come throughout the whole day.
Okay. So another error on, that's my fault, by the way. So anyway, so then right after that, and then I'm going to wrap up and move forward right after that and introduce Bill. You can talk about voice and video a little bit. But post-production, and you can start to see what we're doing, post-production, lighting, and then we get to hang out and have some fun, summer social. It's usually at a local brewery. and then cameras in motion, how to get your stuff going, then audio gear, what to buy and why. You can see where we're going here, okay? You stay with us through the rest of the year and into the next year, you're going to understand what it takes to run your business and how to add new pieces of gear to that. So I thank you for that. That's kind of my rundown right there. I'll just give you a quick preview. I'm going to introduce Bill. He's going to talk about voice and video. I'm going to introduce Mary Ann. She's going to talk about membership. And then tonight, everybody's going to get a chance to say hi, okay? So just real brief, 15 seconds, please. Your name, your business, what you like to do, what your goals are. Are you looking for work? Are you looking for people to hire, et cetera, that kind of a thing, okay? And then we will, I'll turn it over to Mike, and Sony will take it from there for 10 minutes, and then the rest of the program will begin, okay? So I thank you very much, and here is Bill Lanzarota.
How's everyone doing tonight? We get a huge turnout here. We were thinking 20, 30 people. I think we have 50 or 60 plus. This is awesome. Thanks everyone for coming out. So I run the showroom over here at Voice and Video Sales. Got to get in front of the camera here. Trying to hide. There we go. So our showroom is back here in the corner. I talked to a bunch of you tonight, and you're like, when did this place show up? Well, this place showed up 30 years ago. So we're trying to bring it back. We are right there. You ever come into this building, you're more than welcome to walk into that door. A few of you have come in here when we're not here. We've started to have the problem of being too busy. So we've started to hire some more staff, so the door should be open more often or all the time from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, starting in the next week or so. So we just brought in a couple people for staff members. But you know, if you're just a beginner or if you're a professional, we have everything from affordable equipment to the professional equipment. So come on in, ask us what you want. We can definitely take care of you. We'll beat any price that's out there. I know a lot of you shop B&H, Amazon. I can beat those prices. Just come in and ask. All right? Thanks, guys.
Mary Ann, I believe we have 3 new members. Yes. Yay. So we're building the organization, and again, we thank you very much. Test, test. Okay. Here you go.
Ooh, a microphone.
Oh, yes.
So we have membership here. It's $90 a year, and the membership includes Find a Pro on our website, where if someone's looking.
Find a Pro.
Speaking of which, Find a Pro, you need to get online. So current members, get online and update your Find a Pro, because people are actually looking at them. Yay!
Yeah, job postings, etc.
It has plenty of benefits.
Go ahead, I'll just play.
So we do have 3 new members, and I'm going to embarrass you and ask you to stand up. These 2 up front. Becky. Well, you're new to me. You just signed up.
You have to talk.
She's new within last month. Becky.
I'm Becky Fiugle, and I do cinematography. I graduated SDSU, television, film, and new media program. So.
And Sasha.
And Sasha is a new member also.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sasha Doppelt, and I've done various production jobs in San Diego at KUSI and KPBS, and took a detour at UCSD, but now I'm veering back towards full-time video production, and I'm happy to be here.
Fabulous. You can give it to Brandon. It was so nice of all of you to sit next to each other.
Yeah, we
have Brandon
VIP.
as well.
Thank you. My name's Brandon Plants. I've been around the San Diego film community for about 20 years, and now I actually feel like an official member now that I've paid something to be here. So,
See how good it makes you feel to become a member?
so thank you for your hospitality.
Thank you. And just want to remind you to stick around for the end, because we have raffle prizes, and some of them are actually good.
Some are actually good, yes. Okay. They're nice. Yeah, everybody needs straws. Okay. So let's go around the room quickly, introduce everybody, and we'll go on from there. So let's just keep it going here.
My name is Paul Garrett. I own a film business called Film for Food in San Diego. I do anything from cinematography on a Red One and post-production in Adobe Premiere and After Effects.
There we go. Thank you.
I'm Greg Lefebvre. I'm a media trainer. I teach executives how to be on TV, and I have a small production company, and I am a capable and obedient crew member.
Go back that way real quick, and then we'll come back this way.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jane Hare. I own Everon Media, which is a video production company. I do primarily corporate projects.
Let's do the back row, and then we'll...
I'm Connie Terwilliger. I'm a past president of the association, former executive director of the association, now board member of the International Board. I do voiceovers full-time these days, and that's me.
Hello, my name is Ned Augustenborg. I've got two things going on. I'm essentially, my income now is directing and producing live sports multi-camera coverage. And in addition to that, I've got my a documentary that I've been working on for years, and I just got a great announcement. It just got accepted by the International Documentary Association for their fiscal sponsorship program. So the rough cut's done. They looked at that. So now it's trying to gain more finishing costs or try to gather more finishing costs, and that's what I'm up to. Good to be here.
Great.
My name is Keith Methvin. I'm a music composer and orchestrator. I'm certificated in orchestration for film and TV from Berklee College of Music. Okay.
Excellent.
In Boston.
Boy. Oh, here we go. Here we go.
Hi, my name's Kevin Seagraves. I've been doing video production here in San Diego for 20 years, and I do all sorts of any type of production, and I'm often in the corner here shooting. So, let me know.
There you go.
Good evening. My name is Lindsay Lee. I am an LA trained producer and line producer. I've been down here 6 years. If you need somebody who's going to get your budget tight and bring you home with a little money in your pocket after the shoot is done, call me. I'm your person.
Hi, I'm Bob Unger. I'm a retired engineer, but I like to shoot and edit.
Hi, I'm Mark Schultz with Crystal Pyramid Productions since 1981, past president here also. Now mostly getting what we call mostly retired, so I'm looking for some freelancers to help me out, ease me into retirement. So look me up, Crystal Pyramid Productions. Take care.
Hi, I'm Lauren of o'connelldesign.com. I do graphics, animation, and VFX.
Hi, I'm Warren Wolf. I'm a freelance sound mixer and camera op. I've been working here in San Diego and LA for about 20 years.
I'm Mike Tao. I'm the vice president of this organization. I also own M2 Digital Post, which is a post-production shop out in the East County. And right now, really, I'm just a disembodied voice to Connie Terwilliger over there.
I'm Jason Dorman. I recently moved here from DC, where I made documentaries for C-SPAN. Currently, I'm a writer and video editor for NBC, and I'm looking to get into doing some documentaries on my own. And I've also started writing screenplays a little bit more, so hopefully I'll start making those sometime soon.
Hi, I'm Kevin Tostado with Toasty Productions. I've got a documentary coming up that we're going to be raising funds for on Kickstarter called Suds County 2, working with Mike Tao and Sheldon Kaplan. Also, I'm the guy that's responsible for putting 3 SDMediaPros emails in your inbox every month.
Hey, Kevin, we would die without you.
Okay, I'm Luke Jungers. I have Cutting Room Floor. I do video production, and here lately specializing in post-production and teleprompting.
On Street, I'm hiding behind Luke, producer, editor, shooter, having fun.
I'm Eric Crosby, a former Navy broadcaster. I just graduated school, and I basically do freelance storytelling, whatever aspect kind of needs to be fulfilled, and I also kind of do the AV gig with PSAV. So just looking to help people to tell some stories.
I'm Michael Darcy. I'm a freelance one-man band for various businesses, local and national agencies, and I also do a lot of crew work.
Hi, Joe. Hello, Joe Godfrey, composing, sound designing, audio post. Teaching at UCSD, audio post, and building a title with Mike for lynda.com about doing audio post in for the round trip from Final Cut to Logic and back.
Hey, Joe. I'm Eric Addison. I run 100 Acre Films production company.
Hi, I'm Madeline Hengy. I started here 15 years ago as a producer at KPBS and have been just producing, editing, videotaping for local businesses for the past year.
Hello, I'm Steve Carson. I do color grading and on-site post.
Steve helped us out at the camera shootout with his DaVinci Resolve system. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Sandy Buhner, and I'm a film industry advocate.
I'm Doran Brown. I'm a starving film school student, and I'm looking to get into documentary films.
Hey, I'm Joseph Brown, and I currently go to school for video production, and I want to open up a video production company that specializes in corporate video.
You will learn it tonight and through the year.
Hi, I'm Marty Crane. I'm a voiceover talent. I do radio and TV commercials. I like doing documentaries. I do some of those. I specialize in tutorials and further specialize in medical, pharmaceutical tutorials. And when asked where you can hear me, if you go into any one of San Diego's largest pet store chain, that's probably me saying, customer service and grooming, please.
I'm Mark Atkinson. I'm a sometimes actor and wannabe producer. And this is my first meeting. So thanks for inviting me, Mr. Bruggemeyer. I've been trying to get here for months. So I'm finally here, and I didn't know you guys had beer and pizza. I would have came sooner. I am looking for sponsors, too, for the San Diego Film Awards. That's not why I'm here. But if you're interested in that, then please talk to me later. But thanks for having me. Thanks.
Patrick Espinosa, Cypress Productions. I'm a videographer and editor, and I'm one of the panelists tonight, so you'll learn all about me later.
I'm Leslie Nelson of visualconcepts.tv, and same story as him. But we have a video production company, my husband and I, and we do a lot of medical, biomedical, and action sports, to name a few. Who's next?
Hi, I'm Tom Zizzi. I worked with Clint on the Steve White documentary, and I'm a shooter and an editor and a producer, one-man band.
I'm Bill Azarada. You already met me. I run voice and video sales. We're not hiding. We've been here for 30 years. Come see me.
I'm Robin Martin. I'm a corporate web and video guy by day and a freelance editor and filmmaker the rest of the time.
Hey, Robin, since I didn't hijack the meeting,
Please.
Yes, I also co-run the Final Cut Pro users group here in town with Mr. Mike Taub in the back of the room, and we have our meetings the first Monday of every month. We have one on documentary workflows coming up on April 4th. Be there.
Patrick Southern's going to be the speaker there. He was the editor on the OJ documentary that was on.
I'm Kevin Marty, and I'm a starving student at Palomar, and I'm trying to learn as much as I can.
I'm Jess Ivy. I'm a freelance creative director and post. I'd say video work's about 30% of my business. I've been doing that for a little while after I left Disney after a decade or so.
I'm Dave Schweitzer, freelance video editor for hire, specializing in Avid, and I also am teaching Avid Media Composer at the Recording Arts Center every once in a while.
Excellent.
Hello, my name's Mark. I'm a videographer right now for an ecotourism company, focusing mainly on wildlife, but I'm trying to start my own production company, so I'm not on the road so often, so if anyone needs any help, I'm here.
Hi, I'm Fred Farmer. I started a service that I call Fond Reflections Video. And, excuse me, I don't make any money, but I have a lot of fun producing legacy legacy videos for seniors, and I walk them through their life. And they end up being about 3 hours in length, and they're just really emotionally rewarding, if nothing else. They're a lot of fun.
I'm Kevin Baird. I run a $0 million production facility at BD, which bought CareFusion recently, so I'm doing in-house production there.
I'm Jerry Williams. I'm a one-man band
do corporate and industrial work, but I've also a DP with 16 feature films under my belt. I'm also involved with the San Diego International Mobile Film Festival for films made with your phone.
Yeah. I think that's it. Everybody, did you? Yes? No? Yes?
Hi, I'm Mike Burgermeyer. I'm alternate between being president of Amalgamated Grommets and sole proprietor of Amalgamated Grommets.
Do you argue with yourself?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And like so many of us, I know nothing about business, which is why we're doing this meeting.
I thought you were running it. Wait a minute. Oh, he is running it. Okay, great. Thank you. I'm Tom Kinnaman. My corporate brand is Video DNA. We use video to help find and brand the DNA in your company. And that's been going on for about a year now, and I'm finding some level of success. And I'm the current president of this organization, and I thank you all for being here. Thank you, everybody. He's going to get to talk a lot. So, as one of our traditions, and then I'll hand it over to Sony to talk about the cameras and the things they have here, is the horror story. So, Michael Burgermeyer has been very good at keeping this going through the years, but tonight, Bill Lanzarota has a story. He was on a shoot recently. Please, Bill, share.
So, besides running voice and video, I do shoot a little bit on the side. We were just shooting a real estate. We had a real estate shoot maybe 2 weeks ago. It was an oceanfront property in Mission Beach. So we're sitting outside the house. We've already done our B-roll outside of the community and everything. We're sitting on the boardwalk in front of this house. Me and 2 other cameramen, we're sitting right here. And we've got all of our equipment right where this cart is, right in front of us. We were actually doing some shots with some the Ronin and some other gimbals. So we had some skateboards and some other stuff to get some shots of the boardwalk. Well, we're sitting there just chit-chatting, waiting for the owner of the house and the agent to come up to let us in so we could start shooting. And as we're sitting there talking, these 3 gentlemen just start walking up. They've got to be, 20, 23 years old. And we're sitting there walking, and one of the kids just kind of walks up, knocks down the skateboard, just starts skateboarding away. And my skateboard is right here. And we're all just sitting there. We all looked at each other like, he just did that? And he's skateboarding away with the skateboard right now. So trying not to be crazy and start a fight with this guy, we go up and we get the skateboard back. 2 minutes later, the client walks up and everything. We're like, good thing we kept her cool. But that was our horror story in Mission Beach. Just right there, our equipment. We've got cameras. We've got about $15,000 worth of camera equipment right there. And this kid just thinks he can just walk off with whatever we have 3 feet away from each other. So that was my story. So.
Yes, well, we all know our beach communities. Okay, so Mike, you want to do flip your input there? We are very pleased to have Sony representing us tonight here in our vendors corner. And Mike is traveling all over the country, sharing, evangelizing for Sony, and he's got a couple amazing cameras to share with us tonight. Thank you very much, Mike. Applause, please.
Hey, yay.
Hey.
Thanks, Tom. So, I guess I probably need to do the obligatory, here's who I am and here's what I do. So, my name is Mike DeRoche. I am a sales support engineer for Sony. I've been doing this, I've actually been with Sony for 20 years. I know I don't look it. But, as Tom mentioned, I am fortunate to where I get to travel the country, sometimes internationally, and work with a little bit of everybody, whether it's corporate, sports, film, episodic TV, reality. I'm kind of all over the map. But what I like to do is I like to get out in the field and interact with the people that are actually doing this for a living. So whether it's shooting on the sidelines at a football game or supporting South by Southwest, where I was last week for a 4 F55 camera shoot that was shooting 4K but streaming live, these different musical acts. That's a lot of fun, but the best part is actually interacting with people like yourselves. And it's neat to see the go-around and everybody in the room here being a mix between, producers, editors, shooters, directors, whatever the case may be. Hey, that's looking good. No problem. Oh, do we need to go back to that? I'll go back. I'll go. No, that's good. I like that.
Reagan Matthews has that's a 1-year-old baby in her arms right there.
That's Benjamin Button, apparently, if it's 1-year-old.
Yeah, exactly. Come on. She could have brought the baby, you know. There we go. So, congratulations, Reagan. There we go. Sorry.
Thank you.
So
that was good. So we're very excited to be here. Thank you guys for the opportunity to come in and visit with you all. I know we don't have a whole lot of time here, and it would be great if this would switch over to the inputs. Let me actually change this over here real quick. Play. Just to give you an idea of frequency out of range. That's a mystery, because everything else was working.
Yeah, there used to be the VCR that was blinking on channel 3. So it's changed a little bit so far.
Okay, it's all right. This.
When in doubt, turn
I don't know. Who
everything
knows?
off
We'll
and
see.
back on again.
Let me make sure that this is working here, and see if that goes on there.
Yeah.
No, I'm
that's the
playing out.
camera.
But thank you. So, as I mentioned, I'm an engineer
There we
for
go.
Sony. I get to shoot a lot of stuff. Basically, I get to take our technology out and try to expose it to people in the field and give them content for free, which I know you guys all don't like, but I do it as a way to actually help you, because ultimately the more of these that are out there, the better the owner-operators have it. So what you're actually looking at is very, very lightweight video. This is something shot on an FS700. This was actually recorded, and it's 24 megabit. So if you guys remember the old DV format, that was a 25 megabit per second DV signal, and that was 720 by 480. This is actually, that's a lot of, that was, yeah, good seats, right? So this is actually 24 megabit. It's full 1080, but it's coming from a 4K camera. So this is the FS700 that this is playing off of right here. This was what I found to be a really great camera for about 3 years, and partly because it could do a little bit of everything. But the problem was it was an 8-bit camera, so you're kind of stuck in an 8-bit world. And those of you that know the difference between 8-bit to 10-bit, certainly the editors do, the ones that have to actually push into color and deal with that stuff. But if you think about bit depth in post, when you're acquiring from a camera and you're choosing a particular format to shoot in, and depending on how long you want to keep that relevant, you want to shoot in something that might be perhaps higher than 8-bit, because if you look at a number of crayons, an 8-bit depth really only gives you 256 crayons between white to black, or black to white, however you want to look at it. If you go up to 10-bit, now you're dealing with 1,024 crayons, basically. And then once you get up to, say, 16-bit, some of our higher-end cameras, like the F55, a camera that's used to shoot something like the Blacklist, and quite frankly, 70% of original programming on Netflix is all shot on the F55. Well, that camera can shoot 4K RAW at 16-bit. And the irony about that camera is that 16-bit, which is 32,000 crayons in that black to white range, that at 16-bit is actually a lower data rate than much of our competition's cameras shooting 12-bit in ProRes 4444. So it's interesting. So it's important to understand and do your homework, but the bottom line is relative to this. This is a camera that could do something that was good quality, manageable, that was editable by basically everybody. And now we've taken a camera like this, which you can now get for under $4,000, that can do high frame rate, not just regular speed stuff, but also high frame rate in a super 35 millimeter sensor, so you get that shallow depth of field, that bokeh over the shoulder kind of stuff. But where this was all 8-bit only, this is an 8-bit camera, but it also can shoot in 10-bit recording in a much more manageable file size than a lot of other 10 bits. So this right here is the FS5. Much like the FS700, where it can basically do everything this can do, it can do high frame rate as well in HD, up to 240 frames a second in full high definition, meaning 1920 by 1080. But it also can do 480 frames, 960 frames as you start to window down the resolution. But this also has the ability to record 4K internally. So you can do 24p video in 4K. You can also do 30p video in 4K, not having to go to an external recorder, which is quite nice. This camera here, including an 18 to 105 millimeter servo zoomable lens, is about a $6,000 camera. So if you think about it, and I heard on my way out to the restroom earlier, I think, are you the one that owns the red one? Yeah. So I heard at Red One, and part of the thing that was so great about what the Red Group did with Jim Gennard, they really kind of brought down the price points of stuff, for good or for bad. But the bottom line is it made it to where I would say them and also the 5D Mark II really kind of set the tone for making filmmaker for everybody. And whether it's on a cell phone, you know, for a film industry, you know, International Film Festival in San Diego, where you're shooting, you know, movies on your cell phone, whatever. The bottom line is the technology's gotten so good now to where you can get really high quality video in a manageable file size for a very affordable price. So this being the FS700 has been still an available product, but this FS5 is at $6,000 to be able to do 4K internal, high frame rate HD, a manageable file size, 8-bit HD, with internal microphone, or mount a shotgun mic on there with a rotating grip, interchangeable glass that you can put Sony glass on there. You can adapt to, say, Canon glass, Nikon glass. You can pretty much put anything on there that covers that super 35mm sensor. With the ability to also, do center crop and assign certain things like, in 2 button pushes, boom, now I'm into high frame rate, now I'm back to regular speed, now I'm into overcrank mode, and you can jump from mode to mode. So run and gun, this is the one-man band's dream camera. This is a camera that between this and this, I've shot well over 200 events in the last 3 years alone. So whether it's football games where I'm just sitting here with on a monopod and I just lift this stuff up, obviously access is everything, but the fact of the matter is you can get really high level quality. And oh, by the way, you can shoot in log in these cameras. So if you want to maintain the full dynamic range of these cameras, for instance, this is a 14-stop dynamic range camera. This is a 12-stop dynamic range camera. If you're at a venue like Dallas Cowboy Stadium or Texas Stadium or AT&T Ballpark or whatever the heck we're calling it these days, any of you guys know that venue, there's glass panels on the east and west facing sides. And so if you're in an afternoon game, this was last year, Cowboys and Patriots, around 3, 4 o'clock, it gets pretty unwieldy if you're fans in the stands looking out west. But if you're shooting in log and you want to maintain the dynamic range of this camera and you want to actually see what this camera can do, this is the optimum environment. So you can shoot, as you can see, it's kind of grayed out. This is shooting in log. Think of this as a compressed RAW, where it's a manageable file size, but if you have the ability to grade this or colorize this later on, you can get some, and we're still dealing with 24 megabits. So this is an 8-bit codec, 24 megabit compressed, shot in log that you can push through in post and leverage the full 12 stops of dynamic range that this camera has. Now, let's use that as a transition, because dynamic range is something that if you guys have not heard as being buzzed going forward, you will, because HDR, high dynamic range, which you've probably all seen on your iPhones, those of you that have iPhones and you go into the still mode, HDR, what does that even mean? In video, typically the displays, whether it's a production display in an edit bay or a consumer display at home, have not been able to resolve higher than 10 stops of dynamic range. There's certain levels of brightness that you have to get up to, certain level of color range and gamut that's supported. But the new movement is being able to leverage the 12, 14, 15 stops of dynamic range that a lot of these cameras are able to acquire now, grading it as such, and then delivering it to these different outlets. What are those outlets? Such things as consumer displays. Now, just 2 days ago, I think, Netflix, who is now in the business of recommending TVs, because we have our service, they're actually requiring in some ways that you deliver an HDR grade to them that they will stream, which your HDR capable TV set can display. Amazon has had this out since last summer, for those of you who are aware. But it's getting to the point to where now that these displays, Sony being one of the 2 manufacturers, Sony and LG actually, not Samsung, which is interesting, but Sony and LG are the only 2 manufacturers that Netflix recommends for HDR use and also for the Netflix service, partly because it's quick to turn on, and if you've got a dedicated Netflix button in your remote, that helps their situation too. But the fact of the matter is, going forward, HDR is a really big push, not just in the theater, but also at home, because now you're starting to see these consumer displays that are 4K, but they can also resolve high dynamic range. So you'll see all these nuances of this dynamic range, which really says if you have a scene like, let's go back to, I didn't actually set this up as leading into this, but it was a perfect transition. So if we look at a scene like this, we have all of this detail in what would be the shadows. Here's all this in light. And you have the ability to control that range from high to low in the signal, or your head, your toe in that signal. And you can also derive the gamut, the color itself, and really kind of pot up the intensity of these colors. Okay. Those of you that made that transition from standard def to high definition go, wow, this is a big jump, right? You go, oh, look at how much detail we can see. Those that went from HD to 4K on the original 4K sets may not have been able to see such a big jump. But if you go from HD to a 4K HDR display, it is a night and day difference. That's where the wow factor really comes in. And because at the end of the day, manufacturers want to sell shit, right? But the reality is this is really where it's going to make sense as a consumer. This is the next step. If you haven't already bought a 4K set, if you're in the market of buying a new TV set, this is just as a user and a person that's aware of what's coming down the pipe, buy yourself the next TV set. Buy a 4K set that is HDR capable, and you won't have to buy a TV set for a long time. But you will have immediate impact of, wow, I'm watching House of Cards now. I'm watching all these 4K shows that are on these OTT services like Netflix and Amazon or Hulu or whatever, and I'm able to see the difference here. And even just taking, maybe I'm watching, San Diego State football on CBS Sports Network, right, which is not a great network in terms of quality and colorimetry and anything like that. And hopefully they have the cameras down because half the stadium's empty, even though they're a great team, right? But it's a big stadium, right? It's a lot of seats to fill. I shot a bunch of times there, actually. I can never use the fisheye because the guy that I shoot for says, no, we don't want to show all those empty seats. So I have to be tight. But the bottom line is that even that stuff into those 4K sets that are HDR will look really, really good. So when you look at cameras, and I know I'm way past the 10 minutes, so I'll shut down soon. But when you look at the cameras, the idea is to, if you're going to buy something, if you can't afford to buy it, then rent. Rent's always great. You stay slim. But if you're going to buy something, make sure you buy something that's affordable, that's going to give you some room to grow. But you also really want to make sure that whatever you're shooting has the ability to give you a deliverable where you can actually make some money off of it. To make some money going forward, you need to be able to shoot HDR. You need to be able to shoot something you can grade HDR, which means it's got to shoot log of some sort. Most of the cameras do. But a lot of the cameras, well, I should say some of the cameras do, not all the cameras do. Okay? But the question is, shooting log, do you know somebody that can grade it? There's plenty of editors here, so this is a great place to get to know some of those. People can help you out along that path. But the bottom line is, keep HDR in mind going forward, because the higher level that you can acquire it and deliver it means more monetary value to you at the end of the day. You do not want to shoot anything standard F 4x3, as you all know, because that has 0 shelf life, right? But shooting above what you're going to deliver is always a good thing, because the longer you can keep that on the shelf, and there's also the stock footage benefit as well, you'll be in good shape. So we're here. If you guys want to check out later on, we'll be kicking around, but this is the FS700. This is the FS5. Again, 4K cameras, and I'm Mike from Sony. I just want to make sure you guys are all so clear that Mike in the back, Mike Fowler, is an account manager for Sony. He is responsible for the area here. Apparently, we only hired bald guys in our company. And you got to be Mike, right? Otherwise, who really is going to give a crap about you? So it's important that you guys all know that we're here for you. We really appreciate you guys having us, so thank you. And back to Tom.
Thank you, Mike, everybody. Thank you. I'll take that. There'll be time after the primary program to talk again with Mike and Mike. And so, without further ado, we will move forward now with our primary program. We can shut that down. This is going to be a lot of fun, and it's an opportunity to really take a lot of notes on getting your business started. So let's pass it over to Michael Bergemeyer.
Hello, everyone. Is this thing on? Can you hear me? Hello? Hello? Tom, you're fired.
It's there.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me?
Go ahead, keep talking. I'll turn you on.
Okay. Every year at the beginning of the year, we try and figure out what meetings will be interesting to our group. And when we came up with this meeting, all of us were sitting around the table going, I don't know anything about business. We should get people in here who do. Because none of us are trained in that. We're trained in video production, audio production, and graphics, and computers, and we end up being specialists in so many different things that one area that we are just not interested in learning is keeping ourselves afloat. we have gathered a number of people who are knowledgeable in their business, and each of these people came referred. We saw on the website, Brad Olander was set to appear, but he can't because he has an early call tomorrow morning, and he referred me to Mark Nelson. Mark sent me an email back and said, that's a really bad choice because
There we go. So, there we go.
he said, there we go. There we go. He said, that's a really bad choice because I don't handle any of those decisions with my business. You want to speak with Leslie, my wife. This is Leslie Nelson. Leslie handles the business stuff in their business, in addition to doing video production. She and Mark have worked together for about 20 years at visualconcepts.tv. Look up their work. She started her first business at age 23, and then Mark started his own business about 4 years later. Then they merged companies, doing both print and video, and then with time and a few name changes, we switched to doing all video. She served as a marketing consultant to other startups and small businesses for many years. And so, Leslie, come on over.
Yeah, let's
have a seat on a stool. We're all going to sit down right up here. Next up is Brent Altamar, who is there he is. He's in back. Brent is the owner and executive producer at Groovy Like a Movie. Groovy's mission is to inspire people to think, feel, and do. Brent and the team at Groovy have been creating videos for marketing, advertising, training, content delivery, and entertainment since 2000. Brent does his best to balance his creative and analytical sides, creating powerful media that gets results. When not working, Brent enjoys cooking, travel, reading, music, and spending time with his wife, their 8-year-old daughter, their cat named Buttercup, and their tortoise named Jet. That's an awesome bio. And then next is Pat Espinosa. Patrick Espinosa has a 30-year career in TV, video, and radio production in San Diego, and has been a sole proprietor doing business as Cypress Productions since 2001. Primarily as a videographer and video editor. Prior to Cypress Productions, he worked at TV and radio stations in San Diego, including KTTY TV, KUSI, and KGB. Full-service production companies including Primavera Video, wow, you must be old. World Video, and they closed too. Media Share and in-house at Jostens Learning and Compass Learning. The part of this, the goal when setting up this meeting is to find 3 people in our business who have different roles and different backgrounds so that we can get a diversity of thought. I primarily work as a one-man band, and so occasionally I'm going to throw out stuff as well that I do. So we had a list of things that we wanted to hit on, but actually, one of the things that I wanted to do is bring Jane Hare up here real quickly. Jane just did some of this setting up of her business, and so I wanted her to talk about that ever so briefly, but in a moment.
Tell me when.
Connie recommended that we promote Update Your Find a Pro, and here's why. Last month, I called Jacksonville, Florida, and found a guy on the Find a Pro thing in Jacksonville and got references for crew person and equipment. And it was really great to be able to make one phone call, find somebody who I could say, I need Kinos, and have him understand what I was talking about. So update your Find a Pro so that somebody can find you.
That's the main website, www.mca-i.org.
And I'm going to say that on microphone so that the camera hears it. Go to the main MCAI website, which is mca-i.org. Okay, so Jane, you just set up your business.
I just set up my business.
Tell us.
So I did a very brief introduction before. My name is Jane Hare. I'm the president of Everon Media, and I'm a producer, director, and writer, primarily for corporate projects, although I started my career in television and then transitioned over to corporate. I have been a freelancer for 25 years, starting as a sole proprietor, and then I registered a business as an LLC in Minnesota, and then now I've just recently moved to California, although it's been 18 months, shockingly, and I just registered my business as Everon Media here. So if you look through sort of the series of the checklist of how to set your business up, one of the first things that everybody will say is that you need to identify that your business is a viable business by setting up a business plan. So let's assume that you've already done that and skip ahead. You'll want to identify what the name of your business is, and that's important from a marketing point of view, but also to tell you, to tell people what your business does. But you want to check your domain availability, and then once you've identified what your business name is, you need to register it with the state of California as a fictitious business name. And that's a relatively easy process. Someone along the way told me to go to El Cajon to do that, rather than doing it here in San Diego. That was really good advice. Santa Monica? San Marcos. I heard that in San Diego, kind of a nightmare, long line. I went to El Cajon. I was in and out in about 20 minutes. So it took me longer to get there.
That's where I did mine, El Cajon.
Yeah, it was just easy. So you go in, you fill out the paperwork to file for a fictitious business name. You pay your fee, and they will send you some paperwork. And as part of that, you need to publish in the newspaper, sort of any newspaper, 4 times that you are taking on that fictitious business name. I got a postcard in the mail, and it offered me, I think for $14, that they would publish my fictitious business name. That's what I did. So it was published on I believe, an East County newspaper. I got documentation of that. You have to do it because that documentation is sent to the state to confirm that you did. So then once I went through that step, then I had to get my tax and employer ID number. You do that on the IRS website. I'm an LLC, so I just filed it out as an LLC. You basically get it right then and there. You'll get a document that you can print out that provides you with your EIN. You have to register your business with the Secretary of State. So I believe I also did that by either online, no, I printed out a document and filled in all the paperwork and sent that into the Secretary of State with my fee. There is that kind of a trend here. You need to register your business if you are located in the city of San Diego with the city of San Diego, again, paying the fee. And one of the things that I've also learned recently is that I need to register my business because some of my clients are in other states. You have to also look at whether or not you need to register your business in the states in which you do business. So because a lot of my clients are Minnesota-based, I need to register my business not only in California, but also in Minnesota. I have some clients in Texas. I have to look at sort of what all the requirements are. I wasn't aware of that. So that was something that I just learned recently and something to look into. And then the last thing I'll say is to get a really, really good attorney, one that you understand, one who understands you. What I'm finding in my business world, especially working with corporate clients, is that there are a lot of legal documents that I'm asked to sign, master service agreements, which are excellent on one hand, because if you sign an MSA with a corporation, then you can become a prime contractor for them, which can be really good in terms of getting ongoing work. But when you're given an MSA, there are typically statements in that MSA that don't apply to what we do, because they're sort of generally speaking. So when I was asked to sign an MSA with a major consumer customers company, they not only contract for video production services, but also like for hundreds of thousands of screws. So it's a completely different business when you're doing creative services versus when you're doing a gadget. So you'll want to get some assistance. They again can be really good from the standpoint of being a prime, but can be very, very complicated and are somewhat unfavorable to us. So you just want to protect yourself. So that's kind of my story. I did find a checklist on the Secretary of State website, which maybe we could post a link to on the SDMediaPros website, that I followed sort of all the various steps, and that was really helpful. So let me know if you have any questions based on the process that I followed.
Why did you choose to go with a fictitious name as opposed to the name of your LLC?
I had been known as Jane Hare Multimedia in Minnesota and decided that I wanted a business that was a little broader and more national in scope. I don't think you, so I'm not an attorney, I'm not specifically an expert in this. I believe that if your business is named with your name, that you don't have to do the fictitious business name.
You also don't have to do it if it's the name of your LLC. If it's the name of your corporate entity, whatever that corporate entity is, you don't need a fictitious name. But it has to be identical. So for instance, we are Groovy Like a Movie Incorporated, doing business as Groovy Like a Movie. And then we also, for any other business we do work under, we have a fictitious name for that name, even if it matches very closely to our corporate name.
So, and I would be Jane Hare doing business as Everon Media. So that's why.
Yep.
I thought you had an LLC.
I do have an LLC. So it's Everon Media LLC.
So then you wouldn't
So-
have needed to register a fictitious business name.
No, I definitely did.
You always have to. You always have to. When you do an LLC with the state, that is an actual name. So then when you're doing business with the county as
Right.
that business name, there's nothing
But-
fictitious about
But
it.
she's not doing it with the LLC on the end. That's like when
That
you.
would be the only reason that you would need to do a fictitious business
Right,
name.
exactly.
If you're doing business as Every Media LLC, and that's what's registered with the state, there is no need to file a fictitious business name with the county.
But it does have to be identical to what the corporate name is.
Okay.
And that's why we do this.
That's why we do this, exactly. It's all
Okay.
a little confusing.
Is that?
Thank you, that's it.
Thank you very much, Jane. Well done. I'll hand that to you guys.
Sorry.
That was awesome. So in terms of licensing, getting your DBA business license, anything to add on to that from you guys?
I have a question about it. Once you do it, does that last forever?
Which part of it?
You have to renew that every, I think it's 7 years, because I just had to do mine just this last month, and that would make sense at 7 years, because I'm at 15 years now with the business. But you don't have to republish in the newspaper after the first time. You just have to go in, and I was able to just go over to the county records office right here off Claremont Mesa Boulevard. It was like $30-something to renew, and then I'm good for
You guys
another.
keep talking about going places. We haven't gone to a place in a decade. Why don't you do it either, you can do it either online or just mail it in, so.
Okay, so Leslie, what were you
I
going to
was
say?
going to say that the one thing you should be aware of, once you get a business license, every April, you got to declare a percent. You got to pay out. You got to pay on your assets. So I've got to do mine in the next week, so it's on my list. So you got to pay tax for your assets, 1%. So if you have a lot of gear, and you have a business permit, you got to pay up every year, so.
Unless they've been depreciated. Unless they've been fully depreciated.
Correct.
The IRS?
Yes, once they've been fully depreciated, they don't have to pay. Not the IRS, the city
Wait,
tax.
for your city business license.
Yeah, once they've been depreciated, you don't have to pay it.
You pay city tax,
Yeah.
basically.
Or once you scrap them, like if you throw it away or somebody takes, you don't have any more, you don't have to pay anymore. But you always have to keep track of all the gear you have and then pay it.
So keep track of your inventory.
So how are you guys set up financially? How do you hire employees? How do you hire freelancers? How do you do your books? Do you do invoicing? Do you do how do you do that?
You can start first because you have the most.
All right. So you asked a lot of questions there.
Yes.
So in terms of invoicing, we have a bookkeeper, and we have a bookkeeper and we have a CPA that keeps the bookkeeper that checks on the bookkeeper quarterly to make sure that she's doing everything right. Also, by the way, that's who helps keeps track of the inventory so that we can keep track of our depreciation and all of that. In terms of employees and freelancers, that is a very sticky wicket, especially in California. I use a combination of employees and freelancers. A few years back, the government changed the way they enforced the laws about freelancers, and they started sort of more closely enforcing the laws that are actually on the books. It used to be, I don't remember, a 5-point checklist that you could determine whether or not somebody was a freelancer versus an employee. And now it's a 96-point checklist. And the default assumption is that somebody is an employee. The default used to be, if you had a preponderance of that 5-point checklist, somebody could be classified as a W-9 freelancer. But now you have a 96 or whatever point checklist, and the default is that somebody should be classified as an employee. So that is really challenging for us. We actually have an attorney, an employment attorney that has vetted the way that we hire and manage and pay attention to who we're hiring as freelancers versus actual employees. So we can dive deep into the weeds in that if we really want to. I don't necessarily know that I recommend it. And yeah, I like having employees, but it does definitely change the dynamic of your business once you have people who are relying on your decisions. So there's a couple of short, brief answers to that.
How about you, Pat?
Okay, well, I'm really a sole proprietor, and so primarily I'm hired out by other producers and production companies more as a freelancer, so I don't very often hire other people myself for jobs unless it's big. So then if I do, if it goes over that $600 limit, then you have to send them out a 1099 and have all the paperwork that I have my tax guy, he always tells me what to do, so I can just kind of sit in the dark and just bring everything to him at the end of the year and say, what do I need to do? And he kind of tells me. So other than that, I'm the one getting all the 1099s.
Okay, and how do you handle invoicing other people? And your books, how do you handle your books?
I do, since I'm the sole proprietor. I found QuickBooks to be a little too cumbersome for me, so I've just used Quicken for actually doing categorizing all my expenses and income and everything. And then for invoicing, I have been using a program that was initially an iPad app called Invoice to Go, but now they've expanded where you can actually use that online. And it's actually a pretty good program because you can go in and set up all of your different categories of services that you have or products, like if it's a camera, lighting, or whatever, so you can line item stuff on your invoices versus just your rate, and you can send that off. And then now with the addition of that being online, you can go in and just do it off your computer as well, not just have to do it on your iPad.
Cool.
As someone who receives a lot of those invoices from freelancers, I will say the freelancers who use FreshBooks, that seems to be something that really keeps them on track, and the invoices are really nice. There's a lot of automatic follow-up features in case we screw something up. So I don't know how expensive it is. I don't know how expensive it is. I don't know how user-friendly it is. But when we get, like I said, when I get invoices from a lot of different sources, the FreshBooks ones seem to be the most organized, and the follow-up is nice and things like that. So take that for what it's worth.
And well,
all right, so for us, we have what we call a project code, which every project gets a unique code. And so it really helps me when the freelancers include that project code as part of what they're doing. What you did, when you did it, how much you did it for, and the project code. Those are the big things for us, and your contact information so that we know where to send the check. Even if we've paid you before, include your contact information. So
yeah, we hire a lot of contractors. I have had more employees over the past. I've had employees who have worked as camera ops, et cetera, and I've had an admin assistant that did all my books over the years. At this point, we're trying to simplify things, so I've grudgingly a year ago took over to do the bookkeeping now. But I'm doing it, but it's I'm dealing with it, but I've learned a lot, and I feel like I'm in a really good place now, and I feel like it's helped our company run really well, and I feel like I'm doing a much better job than bookkeepers did. They never did that bad, but I feel like I'm really good at this. So anyway, I think when I pay freelancers, with kind of like Brent says, we don't have a code, but I always expected the date of the shoots on the job, the name of the project. If they don't know the name, ask, just send email, ask, because the more hindrances there are to getting those details right, the more delays in you getting paid. So if you're upfront, if you ask that stuff, and then it's all clear, it all works out great for the freelancer and for us, and then I have a good experience. I also like to get a signed subcontractor agreement prior when I bring in a new person each year. So that is really nice to be organized and to feel like people are going to respect this because we know what we're doing and we're organized. So being really above board, always paying employees within 30 days. Not employees, paying subcontractors within 30 days. So I just feel like that's one of the principles I've got because and I've learned that over the years. I mean, when I first started, I had to take a couple people's small claims court, and I don't like doing that. And so I haven't had to do it for the past 15. So, I'm sure you guys all know about that. When you're first starting, it's harder. But the more you practice, the more you get above board, the more you're upfront with people, the easier it gets not to have to deal with that kind of thing because you've been upfront with everybody. I think that covers it. Oh, W-9s. I did want to mention everybody, it's just one of the little accounting things that I kind of noticed. Next year, W-9s are going to have to be in if you have any subcontractors, and a lot of you are getting subcontractors. If you hire somebody else, you'll be having to get a W-9 from them before you pay them. The 1099s are going to be due out by January 31st as usual, but also the master form is going to be due this year. The summary form you send to the government, last year was due May, a month after that, March 1st. Let's see, no. January 1st. This year, February 1st, this year, the summary form is going to be due on January 31st as well to the government. The summary of all your 1099s that you've done. So just handy to know. I kind of keep that back in mind.
Leslie, did you say you do a subcontractor agreement every year? Is that what I heard you say?
I'm sorry, one more time.
The question was, do you do a subcontractor agreement every year?
I try to, it's, sometimes the people who we really trust and know, we got people we've been working with for 10 years plus, so I might get to a point where I don't feel like I have to do it every year, but when anybody that's new, I will tend to always do it. Anybody that's I'm working with for, probably under 5 years, I'll do it with each year.
We have been advised by our employment attorney that you should do that. You should get subcontractor agreements for every project. Again, I'm not an attorney, but I think what my attorney would say about getting subcontractor agreements once a year is that looks an awful lot like a contract, which makes somebody an employee. So, like I said, we're supposed to do that. And I tell the attorney I do that, but this isn't going to be seen by anybody, right?
No.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
So do you find or do you feel more protected if the freelancer you're hiring is a corporation and you're hiring a corporation to do work for you?
I'm gonna repeat that for the video. Do you find that if the person you're hiring is a corporation, are you more comfortable with that, or versus having an individual?
So I will let all three of the panelists answer this. For me, I don't care. Honestly, I really don't. Because that is not for my protection, that is for your protection. So however you feel protected is what format your business should be in.
But I guess does the government look at it more as there's less of a chance that a corporation is your employee because you're hiring a corporation, not the individual?
Right. There is a little bit, my understanding is there is a little bit of weight given to that. But the bottom line is it really only matters if that corporation has employees. If the corporation is just a single person, they look at the fact that it's just a single person, that weighs stronger than if it's because if it's a corporation with 20 employees, then of course when I'm hiring the corporation, they're not my employees. If a corporation has one person and I'm hiring that corporation, it's still iffy. So, yeah. So I don't know if you guys.
It just might make it a little easier. Just kind of have to do a 1099, which are kind of a hassle, but.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. An S corp you don't need at 1099s. But
Just save me that.
Okay, so I'm going to try and get this through all this stuff by midnight. One of the things that we wanted to touch on is creating a rate card and what to charge and why. I'm going to stand back here so I'm not feeding back. I read 2 articles recently, one of them that said that you should figure out your freelancer rate and then add every piece of equipment, find out what each piece of equipment rents for elsewhere and add that on to what you bring to the set. And that's how you come up with your amount. Another article I read just the other day said, figure out your value to the project and figure out what that is and use that as your foundational rate. How do you figure out your rate, Pat?
I do it the first way, kind of based on like a base rate for myself as a day rate, and then the equipment that I'm bringing along with me. But usually they see it on the other end as just a one line item of videographer with whatever camera package. Sometimes it'll be split out depending on how they like that. If they want all the little things lined out, you know, with prices for everything. Otherwise, I'll just put it as one big block. But it is based off of a labor rate than equipment rate.
Cool.
I'm not quite sure yet.
Okay.
Could we get the main question again?
The question is, how do you come up with your rates? How do you figure out your rates? You can stay away if you don't want.
Well, I had to say, but experience plays a big role. I mean, it's like, you know, we go through and we price everything, but there's a lot of factors too we're considering, you know. Is this a kind of job we really want because it's a, you know, something going into a new area and we really are interested in getting into that area? Or is it an area where we've got a lot of expertise? You know, if I'm going into an area where I've got a lot of experience, I don't feel like I need to be the cheapo one in town or be even the medium. I feel like I could be really strong because I know you've got 20 years experience doing this specialty area. So you got to think about what you do and think about where am I really confident and where will the market bear me charging a little more. And then let me think what else.
Well, if I can chime in, one of the decisions I just came to, one of my clients for a long time was insisting that I charge by the hour. If I do a 3-hour shoot, that I would charge for those 3 hours. And I just recently told them I'm doing half-day rates and full-day rates, and my half-day rate is fairly close to my full-day rate. And they yelled and screamed and hired other people. So yay!
Right, yeah, and you might have to decide that you don't want to do half-day rates. I get a lot of contractors now who don't do half-days, and that's okay, you know, and I respect that. And so sometimes I have to tell the customer, you know, this one contractor, and I know he's worked with you for a long time, but he doesn't do half-days anymore, so I'm sorry, but I can get somebody else if you really want it, you know. You know, we don't really want to do half-days, but if we're getting the rental as well, we might do it, you know. It just depends on the situation.
What about the standpoint from the worker's point of view that they can't go to 2 jobs?
So the question is, what about the standpoint from the worker's point of view that they can't go and do 2 jobs on a half day?
I mean, as a freelancer,
Oh,
Right.
no.
I've been
Yeah.
a freelancer
Well,
for almost 30 years.
and-
My day rate is my day rate.
Yeah.
You want to charge me halfway. I can't go from one location to out
Right.
and then go
Yeah.
to another one.
And
I want my day
yeah,
rate.
and I think that's what she's saying is that there are freelancers who don't do half-day rates, and there's nothing wrong with that.
That's fine.
That's
you might
great.
get to a point where you're not ready to do them anymore, but maybe for a while you got to do them just because you want to get that extra $300 or whatever it is, you know. So you have to kind of like decide when you're going to move on from that, when you're going to step it up. If you're really ready to step it up, but that means you're going to have to turn down some money. And if you really need the money, you might not want to make it yet, you know.
So I have lots of pricing as a business owner for 16 years. Pricing is in the top 3 of my worries, and I've developed some philosophies over this time. Number 1 is that I don't discount. I don't do it, And on the rare occasions where it does happen, I do 2 things very specifically. 1, I show the discount on my invoice, and I let the client know why that discount exists. Because once you've discounted, it becomes very, very hard to go back up. So we make it very clear. I mean, how many of you guys shop at Bed Bath & Beyond? Nope. Do you go if you don't have a coupon? No, you don't, right? Because they send you coupons all the time, and so that they've built that into their pricing model. They expect you to only go when you have a coupon. So I don't discount. The other thing that I did a few years ago, I started developing, and it's been a working document for a long time. I started developing a budget spreadsheet, and it is got all sorts of fancy calculations. I actually started with the Association of Independent Commercial Producers, AICP form. That's where that's the basis of my budget form, and it's been tweaked and mauled to within an inch of its life. But the bottom line is, and this is for a lot of things in business, but it's for pricing too, whatever you do that works well for you, have a policy, stick to that policy. Whatever the policy is, and this doesn't just go for pricing, it goes for a lot of other things in business, but however you develop your pricing, have a reason that you did it, be able to justify that reason in your mind, be able to justify that reason to your clients, and then stick with it. Now, obviously, if it's not working for you, change and be flexible, but have a policy and stick with it. That's my pricing advice.
One of the
applause line.
I'm gonna give you some Michael Tao advice. He got a call from a out-of-town client asking to come into San Diego, do a shoot, and hand him media at the end of the day. He said, absolutely, we can do that. I'll need to be paid in full at the end of the day. The guy said, well, if I'm gonna pay you that way, I'm gonna have to ask for a 20% discount. And Mike said, no. And the reason, he explained that the reason for that is he never gives discounts, particularly on the first thing, because if you do it on the first thing, you'll never get it back. And people who ask for discounts on the first, right out of the box, are people you probably don't want to work with anyway. And if he takes his footage, then you have no leverage on getting paid. So that's a good one.
I'm going to give another piece of Mike Tao advice. Mike Tao should be up here.
I know.
And that is that your stomach lining is worth something. And that's something that he and I have talked to about with some clients that we have had in common in the past. And he continues to work for them, and I didn't, because my stomach lining is worth more than Mike's.
So if you're working for some government contractors, they always have that line that, 10% discount for paying, within 100.
Yeah, you will find some clients that where offering a discount is gives you a checkbox, right? That allows you to win that work. I long ago learned that when somebody comes to you with a crappy job that doesn't have enough money, with the promise of more work down the road, that more work down the road is going to be crappy jobs with not enough money.
Yeah, I agree.
My discount policy is, I never give a discount to a first-time client, because again, if they're looking for the lowest price, they're always going to be looking for the lowest price. I reserve discounts for my good clients that come back over and over and over again, so that when they have a job that they don't have enough budget for, I can discount and make it happen for them.
Yeah, and I should probably clarify. That's a good point. I say I don't discount, but you know what? I've got clients that have worked with me for 5, 7, 10 years, and they'll come to me and they'll say, "Hey, look, Brent, we got this thing we don't have enough money for. Can you make it happen?" And for those clients, yeah, we'll make it happen. To me, that's not discounting. To me, that's taking care of a good client.
Negotiating. Yeah. Well, I would say too that I'll have vendors that are like not so much clients, but they might be people that are other subcontractors that we do a lot of work with. And once they are like good guys and I know they pay and and they're consistent, I might give them a discount on gear. It's more like only on gear. So it wouldn't be a discount on our service. So, that just helps
helps be a resource for them. So to me, you get these insiders, and then, you know, you got some good people, you can turn to them, maybe you share a little discount on gear, you know. So that's the kind of thing that is good. But it's not like it's going to be a 50% discount. It's like, you know, it's going to be smaller amounts.
Quick question, when you have a new client, they come up, you want a proposal for like, how much is it going to cost to do a 10-part documentary on sewer lids? Do you charge them money for that, or do you?
I'm gonna restate this for the camera, for the recording. When a client comes to you and says, "We want you to bid on our project. We want a 15-part proposal with examples that are relevant to our work, and can you show us, you know, our work on your reel, and et cetera," what do you do then?
I get scared. I mean, I had a proposal we did a bid on for City of San Diego, and, is that me? No.
That's you.
Somebody. Anyway, they went out for bid, and I can't remember which organization. I don't think it was the city, but it was some government contract. And so I went down there, trooped all meeting with all the different people, and then we had to submit proposals. The process for the proposal was so burdensome. They had everybody had to bring in a binder. So they had boxes and boxes of binders, and each company had to spend hours and hours to get to do their RFP, and it was just, we just decided never again, and we're gonna try to get city business, because we know that the people that can afford it have to be like a little lower priced. I don't know. We just kind of felt like it wasn't a fit for us because it was just, we didn't have the patience for it.
In general, people who get government work in general are not the people who are good at the work. They're the people who are good at the paperwork.
Yeah. So, you know, just don't, if you think it sounds good, just be careful, I would just say, before you go for something too big. If you feel like you can't put your hands around it, or break it into smaller pieces, or you don't trust the person who you're getting the bid from, because you can really get yourself into wasting a lot of time and money.
What I'm trying to do is just say, well, it's going to take me 2 days to do this film,
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say, is sometimes if you tell them it's going to take me X amount of hours to prepare this, will you be willing to pay me my hourly rate for those hours? Sometimes it's yes, sometimes it's no.
Right.
For the video, sometimes when you are asked to submit a proposal, you can go back to the client and say, this will take me 16 hours. Can I bill you for those 16 hours? And sometimes they'll say yes, and sometimes they'll say no.
Yeah, I have a different perspective on that. I think that doing proposals is part of doing business. And if you are not charging enough in your pricing to justify doing proposals, you are not charging enough for your business, I think. And if it's a big job, we'll put a lot of effort into a proposal. If it's a smaller job, we'll use the form that we developed and have worked on. So I get really uncomfortable with the idea of charging a client to do a proposal. So that's just me.
If it's a proposal that has, that with a lot of graphic design and like ad proposals with companies that are pitching to take over it all is the scope of the budget as well. I'm not disagreeing with you. But the government things with the RFPs, you have to know how to do those.
Yeah.
You have to, if there's nobody on your staff that knows how to fill out an RFP, you need to find somebody who understands what boxes need to be checked and what needs to be filled out. And it's not that hard, but you have to make sure that it's worth it to you in the end.
Yeah, I just think you have to be careful when you're a one-person shop, and then somebody says they've got this huge project for you. You just got to go in with your eyes open, and do, you know, if you're going to have to spend 2 months of your 2 months, is there a good payoff, and what's the percentage risk that you will get it? If it's a high percentage that you'll get it, 75%, maybe you should just go for it and spend 2 months working on it. But if you got to drop everything and you can't pay your bills, you know, it may not be a good fit.
What do you do with payments with clients? Do you expect them to pay like a certain percentage up front, and once you deliver the final product, they pay the rest of the balance? How does that work?
to reiterate, how do you expect your clients to pay? Do you give them payment plans where it's 30% on signing of the contract, 30% on the production day, 30% on, or 40% on completion, or what? How do you work about that? Microphone.
Me first, okay. Well, again, as a sole proprietor, I'm doing much smaller jobs, and I do a very small percentage of my jobs are direct client jobs like that. So kind of getting back to the proposal thing, usually I never have to do a proposal that's more than like a page or two.
What's your day rate?
Yeah, it's like, this is going to be a video shoot and edit, and it's going to take this much time and all that. So I don't charge them for that time, other than I put project management on my invoice at the end and charge a couple hours for that, which is going to kind of make up that time in the end. You kind of need that anyway, because there's always little things that you end up wasting little bits of time on that you don't realize until the project's done. You're like, wow, it took me a lot longer to do that than what looks like I'm billing for. And so you kind of add that project management fee in there of a couple hours, and that usually can kind of take care of things like that. But as far as like the payment, like for me with the jobs that I do like that, I tell them that I want 50% of the shoot cost before we ever do the shoot. So then I know that they're serious. Like if it's a existing client I've had for years, then I don't have a deposit for them. I just know that they're going to pay me and I'll do the work. But if it's somebody that's brand new, then I want 50% up front. Then I want the balance of the shoot cost at the end of the shoot before we start any post-productions. And I still know that they're serious about paying. And then I also kind of put a stipulation in there that I own the footage until they've completely paid the shoot cost off, because that usually tends to make them want to actually pay for it, when they say, well, I could actually take this and do anything I want with it if you haven't paid me for it. And then they pay the balance at the end of the project of the post-production before I hand them final versions. Usually give them like something with time code numbers or watermarks or something. I've only learned that because we did a project with another producer friend of mine that was a huge, probably $40,000-$50,000 job, I think, for him. And I was just one of the editors on it, and I shot on some of it. And that person skipped out and told their client that we weren't doing the work, when she was the one that was taking all the money that was supposed to be paid to us, and she kind of ran off with it. And so, she was wanting us to send finished videos that didn't have the watermarks. And I'm like, I don't think this sounds right. We need to be sure that we're not giving them the final, and then finally got worked out. But so ever since then, I'm pretty big on that. Again, like existing clients that you can trust, you don't have to do that, and you just bill them at the end of the project and know that they're going to pay you within 30 days. And yeah.
So we do 40% up front, 40% at the completion of principal photography, the remaining 20 upon delivery of the final project. That's how we divide ours up. Now that being said, this is one area where I am extremely flexible, and I'm willing to work with clients. So if clients want to divide that up into 4 payments or whatever, that's fine, as long as I get a decent deposit up front, because as soon as they pay that deposit, I'm paying money out, right? My time, whether it's my time, my employee's time, or we start renting gear. So 40, 40, 20 is how we do it. We have some clients that like 4 payments of 25%. I have some clients that like 50-50, 50 up front, 50 upon delivery. That's one area where we're flexible.
We sound like kind of a blend. We do pretty much 50% up front for new customers, 50% when it's done. And then customers we've worked with before, unless it's a really, every now and then I get reminded my assistant, it's like, you need to get 50% no matter what, So sometimes I go back and remember what she said and try to get people coming back. I'll ask them for 50% again if I know that they already have a budget for it or they're fine with it. And then if the one thing I think is good to address is what happens when people come in from out of town. Because they breeze in, they breeze out, and then they could leave you in the dust. And I've had one person did that over the 10 years for us when somebody came in from out. And after that, I got really tight about it. I always wanted to get 50%. And ever since, we've never had a problem. So I just think, and a lot of times with bigger customers, they want to put it on a credit card. So taking credit cards does end up helping once you get to that point. You know, if you're small, sometimes you go, why did I take credit card? But then, you know, bigger companies, they like to do it. So what I like to do to save credit card costs is I'll just have them pay 50% on the credit card, and then the back half, I'll give them 30 days. And usually bigger companies, they might be 30 or 45, but whatever, it should be all right. I can handle it at this point.
Do you, as production companies, have a standard production fee that you build into your budget so that you can have something above and beyond?
You're the line producer, right? You're the line producer. Yeah.
To reiterate for
no.
the video, is there a standard production fee?
No, we don't. Though I know on bigger projects, we've worked that in like major proposals in the past.
Well, so now let me ask a question. If you don't have a production fee, how do you make a profit?
It's worked in the way we do the pricing.
Okay, so you do have a production fee, you just don't
Yeah.
show it.
Oh, I've got the labor fees and I've got the gear fees, and it all is marked up.
Okay, so you mark up, so that's where you're, okay.
Yes.
So we actually, so we do have a production fee. One of the things that I like about my budget form, which makes my salespeople incredibly uncomfortable, is we actually show everything. So we work a lot like, our budgets are a lot like construction budgets. We do a cost plus for our stuff, and we show all of that to the client. So yes, we have a production fee. That's, yep.
Whatever. I was just wondering, this is because so much of my work has been done out of Los Angeles and down here, and I'm hearing you with your rate cards and everything. Are the standard rates across the board of what you're going to pay your DRT, your ACCT, whatever in town?
Yeah. So the question.
Your rate cards across the board in terms of how you're doing your budget, or is it based upon your clients and your clients' needs, and then you base the budget based on that?
So the question is, are there standard rates for service providers, or do you base your rates on the budget of the client? Is that a fair restatement of the question? There are some pretty standard rates here in town, but most people in San Diego are flexible. Is that a fair statement? We very, very rarely take advantage of that flexibility. We try and make sure everybody always gets their day rate. That's part of why I don't discount, because I don't ask you to discount.
Can I add something on as far as the production fee? I found that I've had clients that didn't like the term production fee. They immediately question, what's the production fee? So when I work corporate, I have a program manager fee. Because corporate understands what a program manager is. They know what a program manager is, it makes sense to them. And I get a lot less questions.
Well, and my answer to that is, that's my profit margin. That's how I keep my doors open. So, and once I use that phrase, once I tell people that, I rarely get any pushback on that either.
I use production management. That way, if anybody says it, they do. I go, I'm managing your production. I make that phone call, I'm managing this, and then that's sort of like, oh, okay.
So for the video, using a line item of production management or project coordinator can help. So Brent, you have the coolest business card I've ever seen in my life.
Everybody with me.
But this leads to the next question. What do you do how do you handle marketing yourself? How do you handle marketing your company?
Can I ask you a real quick question?
Yes.
Before we get off with the pricing? And this might be a question only for me. My deliverable are DVDs, and probably 99.9% of you don't deal with DVDs. I do the legacy videos, and so that's my deliverable to the families. With regards to sales tax, how would I?
All right. If what you are delivering is a physical thing, you're supposed to charge sales tax. Now, for the if you're okay, this is where it gets sticky. Okay. Because here is the example that I was given as a parable. Okay. You are a painter, and you take paint that's $10, you take a canvas that's $15, and you put paint on that canvas, and you sell the client $15,000 painting. The materials are only $25. So are you delivering, in that case, are you delivering the physical thing, the painting, which is only worth $25 because that's the amount of materials that went into it, or are you delivering the artistry that went on top of that? And there have been different interpretations of different things. We have chosen to go with the route that we are delivering the physical thing, not the artistry on top of it. And so we only charge sales tax on any physical deliverable. So if we hand somebody a hard drive, we charge them tax on that hard drive, not on the cost of the work that went into that hard drive. And so far, we have stayed out of trouble. Now, if what you're delivering, it sounds like, so are you like taking home movies and delivering onto DVD? Is that the?
I interview seniors and walk them through their life. And you
Got
can
it.
tell there's
Okay.
stories and I put edit in video and
Right.
films and photos and that.
Yeah.
You're not selling like 100 copies at a time. You're just giving them one deliverable for each project, right? So.
Yeah. Honestly, I would consult an attorney for that because you can get yourself in really, really big trouble if you do that wrong.
So I have a question because I have a client asking me for hard drive. So are you saying if I were to say, like, if client A came to me and says, we want all the footage, and I said, I'm going to charge you the time it takes me to dupe it and all that kind of stuff, I'm going to charge you $70 for it. And the hard drive, and I'm going to give you the hard drive for free. So $70 for the service. I buy the hard drive, pay the sales tax, give them the hard drive. It's free. You're only paying for the transfer time. Is that, you say that's okay?
I am saying that so far, within my company, in my space only, that has not gotten us in trouble.
Thank you, Senator.
Hey, look, yeah.
It's,
Sorry.
My accountant has told me to apply the price that I paid for those supplies on the invoice and not mark it up to my client. And therefore, in my very small business, I avoid the sales tax that way.
Yeah, that's the theory that the painting that you're selling is only worth the physical thing that you're delivering is the $25, not the $15,000.
My client is simply reimbursing my cost for that device.
Right.
I do know, and this was in another business, but where we took raw materials, created a product, and sold that product, and sitting in the IRS office because we weren't accounting for it. Basically, what they told us is, you charge a service fee for the work you do. That's not taxable. The product you create, sold at fair market value, is what's taxable. So in our case, we were building speaker enclosures. We didn't sell them the one part of the speakers. We would charge them $250 to provide them a speaker enclosure. We had to tax them on that $250. Basically, if it's something you can hand them, that's taxable. If it's something you do for them, it's not taxable.
I just know that the best way to avoid sales tax is not to be giving customers DVDs, to do it digitally. In fact, when the salesperson came by, when the franchise tax person came by for my drop-in visit, a little audit visit, it wasn't really an audit, but it just her stopping by to see the real place or whatever. And we said that we don't do DVDs because we basically, once we learned that we had to charge tax if there was a DVD transaction, we just stopped giving customers stuff on DVD. We just do it digitally, and then there's not the sales tax people don't, there's nothing to worry about.
One of the sneaky things I do. Can you hear me? One of the sneaky things I do is I have my clients buy a hard drive or a spindle of DVDs, and it's $20, and I avoid that completely. Okay, so on to marketing.
Kevin had a question.
Dang it, Kevin.
Just as a real quick thing, one option you have is to apply for a reseller certificate. So if you know you're going to be buying a hard drive and passing that on to your client or your customer, you can show that certificate to retailers, and you do not have to pay sales tax when you purchase it. That way the sales tax is not happening twice. In terms of what Brett was saying about the artistry about it, I've made feature films, and when I make a DVD, I can't tell them to only charge sales tax on the product side of it. It's charged on the fair market value, as Luke was saying. Same thing goes when you're selling it to for the retailers. You're giving them a wholesale price, they charge on the retail price. Again, you can't separate what part of the sales tax is towards that.
Before we get rid of pricing, can I ask one more question?
Yeah.
How do you guys handle, and it's kind of two-part, how do you handle, for those of you that do creative, how do you handle creative, both A, to protect the creative, so that you don't walk into a meeting, give a client creative, and then they hire somebody else who's cheaper than you and use your creative, and how do you then charge for your creative? I can tell you in the past, I've done percentage of budget for creative, but I'm curious how you guys do both of those, protect it and charge for it.
You want to repeat the question?
How do you charge for creative? And in my experience on some projects, I will put it as a line item in the budget for writing. And it's always ends up being a third of what it actually should be. And then on other projects, part of this business is artistry. So part of this business is walking onto a set and using your magic to make something better. And so some of it is built in. But in terms of writing or something where it's separated from that shoot day experience or that edit experience, I try to put it in as a line item, and I get pushback because my clients are not good.
I on the creative side, I guess I kind of started in the creative because I started out as a copywriter and marketing copywriter when I first started my business. So one of the first things I did in video was write video scripts. So it comes pretty natural for me to know how to charge for the writing side. So I think it's more like your practice charging for different services. So if you do a lot of video production, you don't do much writing, you'll be like, oh, how do I charge for that? So you're less confident doing it. But the more you practice charging for different services, the better you get at it. So I basically know that on creative that I pretty much know how to charge it out. Yeah. Charge it just from experience.
Are you charging for a creative fee, or are you charging them an hourly rate for writing?
I'm charging them hourly basis, but I know the hour is pretty much what it's going to take now. And, where I might not have known that in the past. Now I can, and a lot of times I might have customers might want to write their own script because they see what it costs if I write it. But
So for us, when we do proposals that require a creative treatment, we sort of take the crack dealer approach, that the first one's free. And so what we do is we put our all sort of into a creative approach that we think is appropriate for this project. And what that does is that shows the client they may not love this creative approach, but it shows them our capabilities and it shows our ability. Now, if they then come back to us and say, you know what, we really like you guys, we don't like this idea, can you give us some more ideas? Then we say, yes, absolutely. Let me tell you what that's going to charge or what that's going to cost. And we actually have what we call our creative services package, where we develop 3 concepts. And that's just, I forget what the number is. It's like $1,500 or something like that, because the goal isn't to make money on the creative services packages. I don't want to be doing that all day long. The goal is to land the client and do the big jobs.
Okay, so
Mike, I have one more thing. Can I do one more thing?
Yes,
Use tax. Well, before we leave taxes, one thing I was thinking that I got caught up early on is, I don't know if anybody knows, but when you buy gear, and a lot of times you're buying very expensive gear from New York, B&H, they sell a lot of gear. Do they charge a sales tax on it? No. What if you get audited?
Pay the use tax.
Then they say you got to pay use tax. I got audited once. I don't think we paid some of it, but I don't know. It's like it was early on, but now I do it. You have to set it. It's like self-audit. You have to pull any receipts you have when you buy stuff from New York. But
You shop here.
and it didn't hit me that much. It didn't hit me that much because we hadn't bought that much when they did audit me. But I did learn that now I really wouldn't want to have to face, because we have bigger bills for gear now. So I wouldn't want to have to pay $3,000 in sales tax all in one hunk when
And
I
this-
got audited.
And this is where having a good CPA will really pay for itself.
So just to answer the part of Mike's question that they didn't address, which is the protecting your idea, it's
Oh.
important to understand the difference between an idea
Can't protect
and
an idea.
expression. You can't protect an idea.
Yeah.
Meaning that if somebody wants to hear a pitch about an idea that you have for their project, do you go in and say, oh, I want to do this story about a boy whose father is ruling the galaxy, and it turns out that he doesn't know, but you're just giving like not necessarily specifics, you're just giving generalities. If they turn around and say, well, no, we don't want to hire you to do it, and they come out with a similar story, that's fine, because that's an idea, not an expression. Once they get down to the specifics of characters or dialogue, things that you actually can obtain a copyright on, that's where you can get protection and do that through you automatically obtain a copyright, but you have to register it with the Copyright Office to be able to. Now the WGA won't do anything for you. Now, register it with the Copyright Office costs you $35, and then you can get up to statutory damages of up to $150,000 in damages for each violation of the copyright.
And I'm going to push back on that a little bit and say that it doesn't do shit. I'm sorry, if somebody wants to steal your idea, they're going to. And there's so many ways around it. And so I made a decision a long time ago. I don't worry about it. And that's me, right? I'm not worried about it. So.
It's that stomach thing.
One piece of advice that someone gave me, and I've never really done it, but they said to, kind of like the RFP fee, they said charge cheap. Somebody says, we want an idea for like a commercial, to charge, have it be $500, whatever it is, and say, fine, I'll give you a full commercial, I'll give you all the script, everything, boards, pitch it to them, and say, if you hire me, that $500 rolls into production, but if you don't, I've given you a commercial spot that's, $500, you can use it later on, whatever, but at least I walk away with something.
Yeah.
It's like almost like a landscaper, I guess, when you're getting a plan for your house and they give you the plan, and you can either go with them or you can take it somewhere else. And so.
Okay, on to marketing.
We won't. Damn it. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, quickly. Okay, no more questions. We're pounding through this. Marketing, go. What do you do for marketing yourself?
Well, sole proprietor, I don't do a whole lot of marketing other than it's mostly referral business for me. In the last 15 years, almost everything I've gotten has been through other, like working for the same people over again or being recommended by those people. Or some of my direct clients, I've gotten work where somebody has left that company and gone to another company and then hired me. And in one case, I even had it where that person then introduced me to somebody else at that company who left and got me another job through a third one. So I think it's just, in my case, it's do good work and keep everybody happy, and the work seems to find you.
So the cobbler has no shoes. We are primarily a marketing agency, and we are very, very bad at doing our marketing. We have lots of ideas, but what happens is, of course, you say, oh, I'm gonna do this in the downtime, and then the downtime doesn't come. But I mean, we try and put content out on a regular basis that showcases what we can do. So for instance, for a while we were doing what we call Phantom Fridays, where we have a Phantom high-speed camera, and so every Friday we were putting out clips from that camera and just showing off what that can do. One of the challenges I have with marketing, and I'm sure a lot of you have in here too, is getting the marketing to the right people. Right? We are strictly a business-to-business business. So anytime we've done any marketing that had even a whiff of consumer attachment to it, we got the wrong kinds of leads. So for instance, 2014, I did a lot of money on SEO and Google AdWords and things like that. And it worked. It was phenomenal. The phone started ringing off the hook, and I got 10 calls a day that were, I've got this great idea for a movie. Fuck you. So that's one of the big challenges. The two big challenges for us are, one, finding the time to do the marketing that we know we need to do, and two, executing that marketing that we do in a way that reaches the right audience. And I don't have a magic bullet for you guys.
I don't know. I like to I guess I like to share it from like the growth of the business. That when I first started, early on, you got to market. I don't care. And all of us here knew that when we first started, we had to hit the street, go join the chamber, and all these other people that are kind of like you, maybe some veterans in there. Meeting those veterans and networking with the more sophisticated people is what you're after. And then with time, it gets easier because if you really focus, like all of us, seems like to me, seems like we're all trying to, like on the same boat, we're all trying to make people happy, do good work, be consistent, be fair to our vendors. It gets easier because you're delivering good work and customers come back and they refer other people. So, your best market is always going to be the people you're already working with, but it helps if you from the beginning start getting that group of people you're working with so it's large. So if you can continue to gradually grow it early on, it's work really hard at the beginning, hit the street. I remember when I first started, I was at the Chamber of Commerce, I was at all these seminars, I was always doing stuff, and now I don't do that so much anymore. But it's fun to be here tonight, now I can get to the stage where I can talk about my experience. So, but I must say that you got to work hard at the beginning, and then you'll propel it, because if you keep delivering good service, before you know it, you've built a good business. And once you get through about 10 years, it's a lot easier. But the first 5 are tough, and the second 5 are tough too. But with time, it gets a lot easier if you do good work.
So let me tell you what we are doing that I think we're doing well. We have a really good website. Our website is really good. We keep it up to date. So I think we're doing that really well. We are fairly regularly updating our demos so that people know what we're capable of doing. I do a lot of public speaking to groups where my type of clients are. So this is great. I love talking to you guys. It's a great place for me to meet. You're not my audience. This is not a typical public speaking thing for me. I just got done speaking at the American Marketing Association. I've done speaking at the San Diego Ad Club. I've done speaking at PRSA, which is the PR association. So me being out there and putting my face out there and my expertise out there, we are doing that fairly well. Things that we want to be doing more of, we want to be putting more content out. Everybody in this room is a content creator. And so find something that you're passionate about and start making content about that, right? I'm not talking about ads. I'm talking about if you like gardening and you're a director of photography, well, start making gardening videos that are beautiful because that showcases your work. So that's what we're doing well and not so well and what I want to be doing.
Very good. Can I add something to this? I'm going to help here because I'm very, very passionate about this. You also need to look around at this room, at everybody that's in this room, because we're all a community in this town. And the more you work with other people in this town, the more work you're going to get from other people in this town. I do work for Brent. I have projects. I've put his Red Epic on it a couple of times. Mike Brugermeyer and I work together all the time. We were on a shoot 2 days ago. 2 days ago? 1 day ago? I've forgotten.
Have you slept since then?
Yeah, probably not. I've done work with Eric Addison. So these people in this room, I'm editing a documentary with Kevin. These people in this room are not necessarily your competition, but can be your partners within this industry. I'll shut up now.
Yay!
San Diego, got it.
And I'll follow up with one more thing on this. I'm a Rising Tides guy, right? I'm a Rising Tides lifts all boats. I want everybody in this room to be making millions of dollars a year, because if you're making millions of dollars, I'm making millions of dollars. I promise you that's the case. There's enough work to go around, and it sounds like Connie's passionate about something too.
You need to contribute to the conversation. You need to take advantage of social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter. You need to contribute to the conversation. You need to join the groups where you might be looking for jobs, opportunities. I belong to the e-learning group on LinkedIn. If somebody posts, and the MCAI group on LinkedIn, if somebody posts something, a question, an update, and there's a reason, there's something that I can contribute to the conversation, and all of you have something you can contribute to the conversation, and write it so that you are writing intelligently, that you're not brutalizing the page with spelling errors, and be funny, be engaging, and they're going to go to your profile, and they're going to take an interest in, they're going to want to know who is the rational person that's not asking the stupid question. Because there's so many stupid questions out there. If you stand up as the voice of reason and logic and be funny about it, they're going to remember who you are. So contribute to the conversation, use social media. Blog, post updates. Those are the things that you really need to do. And that's kind of what Brent was talking about, is keeping active.
You can also just write yourself a simple marketing plan. A lot of times that doesn't, it could be you have social media in it. You could take whatever you do well. But, you know, pick the kind of thing that you do well, where it showcases you, and do it consistently.
Consistency,
And one of the things that I'm working on is making a schedule of that, so that I know every Monday morning, if I'm not working on something, that I'm going to spend an hour doing a blog entry and an hour finding a video that I've done and putting it on LinkedIn and Facebook, so that it's a constant, ongoing thing. And I fail at that more than I succeed, but I do it occasionally.
Yeah, 2 questions.
I was going to say, is sponsorship a good way of marketing too?
Depends on your, so a good way of marketing is whatever gets the message that you want in front of the people that you want. So if there is an opportunity to sponsor something that your audience cares about, yes, absolutely, fantastic way. We are sponsors of the American Marketing Association. Because that gets us in front of advertising agencies, which is one of our big target markets. So you got to be careful, because that costs a lot more than being good on social media, right? So you have to decide, okay, is that budget, is that $100, $500, $5,000, whatever the number is that the best place to spend my resources? But yeah, I think anything that gets you in front of the audience that you want to be in front of is great.
Okay, so
who has not asked
Go.
a question yet?
You guys have addressed a lot of kind of brick and mortar business type stuff to a certain extent. It's all been really valuable and interesting, but for somebody like me, I guess I'm wondering if you have any advice. So I've been working in media for like 6 years or something like that. I've never been able to figure out the freelancing side of it. I don't know where to look for work. I don't know how to find work. I don't know how to get people to hire me for work. So I wonder if you have any advice on how to get started with that.
the question is, as a freelancer, how do you get work? And you made a big step by coming into this room tonight.
Yeah.
As a freelancer, the people who hire you are more often than not other freelancers. Often they're production companies. Occasionally they're clients. But clients get your name from other freelancers. There's a guy out doing a shoot tonight because I'm not available because I'm here. Damn him. And he got, I referred him. So the join a community, find the people who are doing what you want to do and weasel your way into their circle. Do a lot of handshaking. And from a perspective of find the people you want to be in front of, you want to be in front of working people. There's plenty of people in our industry who are doing it as a hobby, and they're not going to help you succeed because they're not succeeding. If they're not making a living at it, then they're not going to help you make a living at it. The point of this association is we're working professionals, so this is a good step.
I actually have a few.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say that when I first went out on my own back in 2001, I had been working in-house at a corporate production department, and then we'd all gotten laid off, and so it was almost like you were getting out of prison, because you were like away from everybody. And so I ran out, found a few friends of mine that I'd known from the time before that, and then I came to a couple MCAI meetings, and then just kind of started in, met a few people there and started getting some jobs here and there, and then that was when the whole domino effects start happening where, you know, once you start working with people and you meet them and then you get on their radar, then you eventually start working, and then there's other groups besides MCAI. There's like the, you know, if you're an editor, the Premier User Group, for instance, or the Final Cut. You know, if you go in there's other guys that we meet for lunch once a month, and I've gotten some work from that from people that I didn't know prior to that. So, you know, just you kind of get your fingers out there, and it took me time when I first got started. It was probably a good 1.5 to 2 years before I really felt like I could get a lot of good work. But I also at that time was a part-time stay-at-home dad, and it was kind of my plan to not be full-time in the beginning, and I knew it was going to take time to ramp up, and so it all kind of worked out.
So as the person who is in charge of making sure my company's bench is deep, that's a major part of my job, is making sure that I have the people on my roster that I can fill in for slots, right? When I hire people, the first people I go to are the people I know and have worked with, right? That's always my first stop, right? I call the DP that I always use, I call the editors that I always use, but of course, the people that I use often are often busy because they're good, otherwise I wouldn't use them. And so the next thing I do is I say, okay, who do you know, right? It is incredibly rare for me to start digging through my email inbox to see, oh, who have I never worked with before to take a chance with on this production. That being said, it does happen. And let me tell you how I like to be approached if you don't know me and you're looking for work from me. And I can't speak for anybody else, this is just what I like, right? Make an introduction at something like this, introduce yourself, get my card, follow up with me with an email. Say, hey, I'm the guy who we met at MCAI, this is what I do, here's a link to my most recent work. Then after that, you need to stay in touch with me, and it's got to be your responsibility to stay in touch with me on a regular basis. And you have to do it in a way that's not going to piss me off. Okay? And I have one guy in particular he's a freelancer in this town, has been around for a long time. He does good work, but every time he emails me, what he says is, hey Brent, work is slow. Do you got anything for me? And the answer is no. No, I don't. I'm sorry, I don't. So what I like and what I recommend people do is anytime you work on a project that you're proud of, send me a link to that project and say, hey Brent, just as a reminder, we met at MCAI, or we talked last time, or whenever. Here's a new thing I worked on, and I'm really proud of it. Love to hear what you think. That's a great way to get in touch with me because it does two things. One, you're not directly asking me for work, and so I'm not going to immediately send you to the trash can. And two, it's going to remind me of what you do, and it's going to show me what your skill set is, and it's going to show me what you think you're capable of. And I have some people even who will email me and say, hey Brent, here's a project I just worked on, and I hate it. And here's why. And that's another good thing too, because then it engages us in conversation. And eventually that will pay off. Eventually I will get to either a project that I feel like I can take a chance on you, or that I've learned enough about your work that I can take a chance on you. But that's my piece of advice, and that's my standing advice to all freelancers who are always like, how do I get work from Groovy, man? That's the answer. So.
I would say what you said is all good. I know we kind of have the family thing going where it's husband-wife, and my husband is more about the present. He's less interested in, putting out feelers to people that might want work or whatever. And I'm not talking about getting work for us. I'm talking about people working for us. He wants proven people to work with that are contractors he knows will deliver. And I respect that, and that's all good, and we have very good people that work for us. But how do you break through? Same thing, I have an instance where, even just, this is maybe too low of a level, but maybe it's relevant for some people here. I'm always interested in good interns. They don't always show up, but if I have an intern that's people are sending me information on themselves, tell me, give me your bio, give me your samples, be thorough, and then follow up and get to know me. Just keep trying. You have to be persistent. I think that relates no matter what your level. but don't just try one time and give up, because you won't ever get back
Yeah,
in.
because the bottom line is, I hate saying this, I'm busy, I'll forget.
Yeah.
I'll forget you. I will. And I admit that, and it's not something I'm proud of, it's not something I'm happy about, but you got to be persistent.
But then if it gets to a certain point where maybe it's not a fit, and you've tried really hard like 10 times, we know who you are, so you kind of can overdo it too. So, don't be an irritation. So there's a fine line. Maybe once a quarter or something, and if it doesn't hit after 2 years, maybe it's not a fit.
And that's why I recommend sending me links to stuff that you do, because then there's a real reason that you're reaching out to me.
Okay, we are going to wrap it up. There's a number of other things that I want to hit on. Advantages of an EIN, that's a federal form that you can fill out online that is in place of a social security number, so you can use that instead of a social security number when getting paid, so that your social security number isn't everywhere. In California, you can pay just 2.5% for sales tax by filling out one of these forms. I save, every time I get paid, I take 25% of that and put it into an account for tax. And even when I'm poor, I put that money aside.
You can't imagine how poor you'll be if you don't.
Yes, and invariably, when your taxes are due, you won't have worked for 4 weeks. And paying yourself, I think we talked about that on what to charge and why, but this is a business. This is not a charity. When you approach other companies, you need to represent yourself as a company who is successful, and so that they have a reference for how to deal with you.
Let me yes and to that. And this is a little mini speech that I give to a lot of people who are starting out, which means most of the people in this room don't need this, but remember that and this relates to paying yourself. Remember that what you do is valuable. You are valuable. Your skills are valuable, and you need to treat it as such. Otherwise, the clients will not treat it as such. If you work for free, you will get hired for free. And there's an old business adage that if you don't have enough work, you need to double your rates. And it works. Not always, but it works. So remember that what you do is valuable and treat yourself as such.
Okay, and one last thing, if you're a freelancer and want to hear somebody else's rate, you can come to me and ask, and I'll tell you what my rate is. Just so that you can have a frame of reference. Thank you very much. That was awesome. I'm sure we wish we could stay another hour, but we can't. So thank you.
Yes, real quick. Yeah, ProCamp, this could be a great subject to continue now that we've had a good look into it. One last note before we start to hand out raffle tickets. Everybody pull your raffle ticket out. Everybody who's making notes, the it's a 5% reduction in sales tax in California if you're a bona fide production company. The regulation is 1532. So the State Board of Equalization, just look up regulation 1532. That'll lead you to what you need to figure out. And you take this form to your vendor, and Bill got me a price on my camera less than B&H because of this. This helped make it happen, actually. So it's important. All right, so we have stuff to give away. First number is, the last three numbers are...
Everyone have tickets?
Too late. No. Well, okay, while we're handing tickets out, I'm going to start reading these because we're way over, okay? So if you need a ticket, come and get a ticket, please. Last three numbers, 957, beautiful road hat. 957 is the number. There's the man right there, 957. Here we go. Next one, 227. 227.
Earplugs golf tee.
227. Going once. Is she there? There she is. Excellent. Go. And 218. 218. 218. Squeezy balls. There we go. I didn't say that. 231. 231. 231. Still having fun. They're gone. 220. 220. There we go. Somebody's getting something really cool tonight. What else do we got over here? Whoops. Oh, Chipotle. Okay, this is food. Don't get ill. 239. Oh, there we go. Winner, winner. And you can get a chicken dinner there. No, we didn't say that. No slander here. 238. 238. 238. 238. 238. Well, give her something because she says she has 238. I don't believe her. 215. 215. There we go. There's a gentleman in the second row. 215. Where are you going? 215. Right here. Right here. 215. There we go. Boy, we want to go home. 226. 226. There's the man right there. Give him something. He's so happy to be here. 217. 217. All right, I'm going to mix it up. 217. 217. 232. 217 right here. 217. There we go. Okay. 232. We got 4 things left. 232. 232. Young lady on the floor there. And she's location scout. 204. 204. So much more with 204. There we go. And we're building up to the last prize. So after this will be the next last day. It'll be the last prize. And 238. 238. Well, how many tickets did you get? All right.
So you just pulled the second one.
Well, okay. Okay. 205. 205. We'll just skip right past that error. 205. Negative? No 205? How many 216s are there? 216? Is 216 one yet? 216? 216. Negative. 216. There he is. Okay, the grand prize. Get a weird number here. Here's a different number. Okay, this is.
Painting the world with light, or with music rather. This is Couldn't Forget's documentary.
Excellent. Here we go. 239. 239. Okay, it's not my fault. I'm just pulling them out of the box here. 960. 960. Well, you gotta go fast here. Come on, we're not. There we go. Everybody's happy. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Sony. If you want to hang out, because we got to pack up, still feel free. He has no children or wife or anybody to go home to. Good night. Good night.